Hello again. In this video lecture, I will discuss protein analysis or analysis of protein. Now, analysis of protein plays important role in order to know whether our body functions well. Protein analysis also gives information regarding malfunctioning of any body organ or presence of any disease in the body. For example, by protein analysis, we can know whether our kidneys are functioning well or not, and how this protein analysis can help us to know proper renal functioning is by detecting presence of protein in the urine. As we know, kidneys functions as to purify the blood, and during purification or during filtration, it filter the unwanted material or unwanted constituents of blood and throw it out or excrete it out from the body through urine. So under normal physiological condition, no proteins are excreted out in urine. However, if the kidney is not functioning well, or in case of any renal diseases, or due to some other secondary manifestations in the body, the protein gets excreted in the urine. So by protein analysis, we can ultimately know the progression of disease. For example, in an earlier stage of a disease or in an earlier malfunctioning of a kidney, only lower molecular weight proteins gets excreted out. And once the disease get progress further, higher molecular weight proteins are also get excreted in the urine. So protein analysis plays an important role in order to know how well our body is functioning. Analysis of protein for routine laboratory tasks or for bioclinical purposes can be done by two methods. The protein analysis can be done either by precipitating the protein and further analyzing them, or in another method, the protein analysis can be done colorimetric also. Colorimetric determination of protein means analyzing the protein with the help of color producing reactions. In this video, however, I exceptionally emphasize on protein analysis or analysis of protein by precipitation. So, as we know, protein when dissolves in a solution, or protein when present in a solution, they forms a colloidal solution. Why the protein forms a colloidal solution? This is because the proteins are having higher molecular weight, and because of their high molecular weight, when proteins are mixed with a solvent, especially the polar solvents, they forms a colloid. So, in order to precipitate the protein from colloidal solution, some chemical reagents are ultimately be added so that they will bring about the precipitation of protein, which I diagrammatically explained here. For example, here the protein is present in a colloidal solution, or the protein is present in a solution, and when any chemical substances or compounds are added to this solution, the proteins are get precipitated out. So before moving further, I will here discuss the basic chemistry behind precipitation of protein, or why the proteins are get precipitated from their solution. So here we can see that protein is present in a solution, or the diagram which I represented here depicts colloidal solution of a protein in which I mentioned or represented the proteins by dark circle, and they are well enveloped by solvent molecule or a solvent cell, which I represented by light black color circle. So in their solution, or ideally the colloidal solution of protein, or in a colloidal solution, the proteins or the solution of protein in their colloidal state are get stabilized by following two factors, which you can also see here. I mentioned them sequentially by point number 1 and point number 2 as charge and solvent cell or a hydration cell. So this colloidal solution of protein are get stabilized by charge as well as the hydration cell. So anyhow, any external stimulus or an external factors which can able to manipulate or modify the charge of protein, or they are able to remove hydration cell which is present around the protein molecule, will bring precipitation of protein. Now, as we know that under isoelectric condition or at isoelectric point, the protein have net zero charge. Now, if the solution in which the proteins are present, its pH can be modified by adding any acid or alkali, the net charge of protein gets shifted accordingly. Now this net shift in the charge of protein due to presence of pH can also or is able to cause precipitation of protein. Now, how this hydration cell which is present around the protein can be removed? This hydration cell which makes the protein to be present in a soluble state can be efficiently be removed by adding some inorganic salts, or this hydration cell can also be removed by adding dehydrating agents. So this eruption of hydration cell, either by addition of an inorganic salt or by addition of dehydrating agent, will cause precipitation of protein. So this is how we can bring the precipitation of protein from its solution, either by changing pH of the solution, which accordingly cause net change in its or shift in the charge of protein, or we can induce removal of hydration cell or the solvent cell which envelops the protein molecule in order to make them be present in a dissolved state, and hence this disruption or eruption of hydration cell will ultimately causes the protein to get precipitated. So following are the methods which are used for precipitating proteins from their solution or from their colloidal solution. So proteins can be precipitated by addition of heavy metals. For example, lead acetate, copper sulfate, or zinc sulfate. Or protein can be precipitated by addition of anionic reagent such as metaphosphoric acid, or protein can also be precipitated from their colloidal solution by addition of dehydrating agent, which I also discussed earlier under the mechanism of precipitation of protein. Or protein can be well precipitated by exposing them to heat. Now, protein can also be precipitated by addition of strong mineral acid into their solution, or it can also be precipitated by addition of organic solvents from their solution. So these are the methods by which the protein from their colloidal solution can be precipitated. I one by one discuss the basic principle and the procedure of each method, how they bring about precipitation of protein. Let us now discuss how the proteins are get precipitated in the presence of metal ion. So here is the chemistry behind the precipitation of protein from its solution in presence of metal ion. So for the purpose of ease of understanding, I here mark protein as P and metal as M plus. So as at isoelectric point, the protein have net zero charge, which is well known. So at a pH, when protein have zero charge or they exist as a neutral ion, in such a condition they are get stabilized, and due to their stability or due to their isoelectric distribution of charge, the protein remains in their solution form. However, when an alkali is added or its pH is get raised towards basic side or alkaline side, this causes the deviation of charge in protein from neutral to negative. So once alkali is added to the protein, this will cause the protein to acquire negative charge. And when this negative charged protein molecules are comes in contact with metal ions which are having positive charge, they immediately, or this phenomenon causes an immediate binding of protein to metal ion due to difference in their charge. As the protein have the net negative charge and the metal ion have positive charge, and hence due to difference in the charges of both these molecules, there is an immediate formation of ionic bond which causes the protein to be get precipitated. Now this is how the protein are get precipitated from their solution by metal ion at alkaline pH. So this is how, if we add lead acetate or copper sulfate or zinc sulfate to alkaline solution of protein, the proteins are get precipitated out from their solution. So from procedural detail standpoint of view, or in order to perform protein precipitation in laboratory, we make use of heavy metal salts or salt of metal, for an example, lead acetate, copper sulfate or zinc sulfate at a concentration of 10%, and in order to make the solution or the protein solution alkaline, we use strong base such as NaOH at a concentration of 5%. So you can see anyhow that the procedure is the same which I stated in the mechanism of precipitation of protein by metal ions. Here also in the sample, or whatever the sample we are taking, in this sample the proteins are well present in their solution form. Then in order to bring, or in order to have this protein have negative charge, or in order to have the protein negative charge, 5% solution of sodium hydroxide is added. Which causes the protein to acquire negative charge, and then accordingly, as per the availability of reagent, (10% lead acetate or copper sulfate or zinc sulfate are then added, and then the content is shaked. This causes the formation of or precipitation of protein. The color of precipitate varies accordingly. However, commonly the precipitate is well or possess colored, which ranges between white to slightly yellowish white. So now I will discuss the basic chemistry behind the precipitation of protein by an anionic reagent or by metaphosphoric acid. So the mechanism of precipitation in this case is also the same as I discussed earlier under precipitation of protein by metal ion. The difference here, or the difference between this method, that is precipitation of protein by anionic reagent, when compared to the method which I earlier discussed, that is precipitation of protein by metal ion, the difference is the acquirement of charge by the protein molecule after addition of acid in this method, which is positive, and earlier in precipitation by heavy metal we are using an alkaline reagent, so the proteins are get acquired, or the protein get acquire a net negative charge. So the difference between both these method is that here we are using an acid rather than earlier we used a base. So here the protein, when the acid is get added, the protein acquires a positive charge, and as the metaphosphoric acid, when gets on its ionized form, causes the solution to get acidic, However, they themselves get acquire the negative charge. Here I represent the charge of metaphosphoric acid anion as M negative, and because of this low pH, which is causes, or the low pH which is imparted by this metaphosphoric acid, this causes the protein molecules to get acquire the positive charge, and by themselves the metaphosphoric acid gets acquire a negative charge, and due to difference in their charge, that is the protein have positive charge and the metaphosphoric anion have a negative charge, they again form a bond between themselves due to difference in their charge, and hence they causes, or this difference in the charge will causes precipitation of protein. So protein can also be precipitated from their solution by organic solvents. Now, as we all know, the proteins are much soluble in their, or they are much soluble in polar solvent, for example water, compared to any other non-polar solvent. Now, why the proteins are get solubilized in water or in a polar solvent? This is because due to formation of, or this is because due to such interaction between the polar end of protein molecule, which are able to form, or which are able to interact with water molecule in order to get them in a dissolved state. So as the organic solvents are itself non-polar in nature, when these organic solvents are get added to the solution in which the proteins are contained in a dissolved state, this will cause disturbance, or this will get disturb the normal interaction between the protein and the water molecule, or the normal interaction between the protein and the polar solvent, and this disturbance, which is bring about by addition of non-polar solvent, causes the protein to get precipitated from the solution. Now in this method, the protein is get precipitated by heat, or by exposing the solution of protein to heat, it then get precipitated. So, as in earlier cases, some chemistry is behind the precipitation of protein. Likewise, here also the protein is get precipitated, and there is a chemistry behind the precipitation of protein. Now the mechanism or the chemistry behind the precipitation of protein is exist in its structure of protein. Now as we know that protein structure or the proteins have, or a structure of a protein have various non-covalent type interactions. We also know that protein itself exists in its secondary, tertiary and a quaternary structure, and these structures are well maintained by some non-covalent type interaction. And anyhow, if these non-covalent type interaction, the non-covalent type interaction means hydrogen bonds, ionic bonds, keystone forces. For an keystone forces means van der Waals forces, hydrophobic interaction. So due to heat, these non-covalent bonds are get breaked up, which causes denaturation of protein. That means the protein loses its structure and hence aggregated and finally get precipitated out. So the basic rhythm or the basic mechanism behind the precipitation of protein by heat is disturbance or break in the non-covalent bonds, which ultimately holds the protein molecule, and once the protein molecule when the bonds which holds the protein molecule gets breaked up by heat, the protein gets precipitated out from its solution. Proteins are also get precipitated by mineral acid, and the mechanism behind precipitation of protein by mineral acid is comparatively somewhat similar to that which we earlier discussed under precipitation of protein by heat. So here also, in presence of mineral acid, for an example, concentrated solution of HNO3 will cause the precipitation of protein from its solution by causing them to get denatured. So whenever a mineral acid is get added to the solution of protein, this will causes denaturation of protein, and once the protein get denatured, it gets aggregated and gets precipitated out. So why the protein gets denatured? The basic mechanism behind denaturation of protein is well discussed under the denaturation of protein by heat. That is, whatever the bonds which ultimately responsible for maintaining the secondary, tertiary or the quaternary structure of protein are get disturbed or get breakdown, and due to the breakdown of these non-covalent bond, such irreversible denaturation causes the protein to get precipitated out. Now most generally the denaturation of protein most of the time the denaturation of protein is irreversible, mostly. However, under certain circumstances or in some rare condition, the denaturation can also be reversible, or there can be a reversible denaturation. However, mostly the denaturation which is bring about either by acid or by mineral acid or by presence of heat is mostly irreversible in nature. Once the protein get denatured or once it get coagulated, it is difficult to pass the denatured protein, or it is difficult to pass the coagulated protein back to its solution due to the mechanism which, or the reason which I discussed.